Hello everyone, welcome and thanks for attending or watching on repeat this session on boosting asset reliability, which is delivered by my colleagues at Dynaway, one of our partner companies. So this session will look at how asset management can work within Dynamics 365. If you're not already aware, Dynaway are the guys that built the Enterprise Asset Management module, which was then acquired by Microsoft. But what they'll be showing you today is how the extensions they put on top of that core componentry in Dynamics can help you manage your assets, boosting the reliability and getting a real picture of how your assets are behaving within your organization. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Mikkel and Thomas.
Thank you very much, Chris and Debbie. Thanks for letting us speak today. It's a pleasure being here, and we believe we have a good subject. So today we'll try to demystify asset management in D365. And I won't take the whole show, but my name is Mikkel, and I have the commercial responsibility here at Dynaway. And with me, I have Thomas. Thomas is one of our product experts, and he will give you a brief overview of a few of our products. Thomas tends to spend 3 days covering the whole thing, but today we sum it down to 30 minutes. So as Chris already mentioned, what is Dynaway and why are we here? Well, Dynaway is a company focused exclusively on enterprise asset management. We sold part of our solution to Microsoft, and it is now known as Microsoft Asset Management and being located within D365. We see ourselves as EAM experts, and of course, our core offering is also combined with Dynamics expertise. So a little bit about the story, because Dynaway has actually been around since year 2000. Back then it was a Microsoft SI, then it was formed into a Microsoft ISV, having its name since 2005. And as mentioned, in 2018, we sold part of our solution to Microsoft. Since then, we have had 2 tracks. One is to extend what is today known as Microsoft Asset Management with some additional capabilities and advanced features on top of that. So all of our implementations done together with partners have the foundation of standard Microsoft Asset Management, but we offer a range of extensions. Also, since year 2020, we had an offering, or we have an offering for Business Central, but today we'll cover D365 exclusively. And as shown here on the graph, we now offer more than 350 capabilities in all of the extensions that we have. Currently, there are 15 different extensions, and they can be combined individually. There are no dependencies between those. Last year, we launched our Asset Management Conference that will take place again this year. As you can see here on my background, it will be end of April, and you can still make it if you wish to attend. A few facts. We normally package our customers in 3 different categories. If you look over on the right, we have energy and natural resources, we have discrete and process manufacturing, and then we have food and beverage. Within those, you may see some familiar names, but the reason being is that all of these customers, they use D365. Some of them use Microsoft Asset Management, and all of them, they use Dynaway in some shape or the other. We typically get the question about, well, we already have an asset management solution, and that is correct. We do meet many customers with D365, and they have a standalone asset management application, and sometimes it works really well. It was the same with Daisy Brand here on the slide, a US-based organization purely focusing on sour cream, turnover approximately $400 million. But they also had a very good standalone asset management solution. It was well implemented and well adopted within the business. But when they saw the capabilities of Microsoft Asset Management and Dynaway, they decided to embed the whole application within D365 because it actually enables companies to accelerate faster and plan better. I'll get back to that in a moment. So why should you really embed EAM within the ERP solution? Well, there are many good reasons, and you can see them here on the screen. But from my standpoint and what I've seen with customers is the fact that they see better decision making. So we make a consolidated platform where everything simply flows together. When you schedule a work order, there are often some prerequisites. You need typically some spare parts, resources to carry this out. There could be suppliers. There could be skill sets that sits within HR. We also want to look at cost because it often is seen as a cost carrier when we do maintenance. But all of this typically belongs within an ERP solution, and there wouldn't be any good reasons of silo this information outside. So once you combine these two platforms, you really unlock great potential. Reducing downtime and streamlining operations. You will also see that when Thomas will show our product portfolio or some of it, because it really is a seamless integration that happens. It's not integrated, it is really embedded. Some of the products that Thomas will touch today is specifically our work order execution app that you see here on the left. It's a mobile client. It is working on any device. It's indeed a browser app. So anything that runs a browser, you can use it on. It sits on top of D365 and it works offline. So it means if you go into an area where you don't have any connectivity, you can still perform your work, document your work. You can even look up spare parts from when you last had connectivity to your system. So it means that the technician can continue his work. And once he gets access again, it will update automatically. If we get time, Thomas will also show you a little bit of the planning board. The SafeWork app we don't have time to cover today, but indeed a very interesting area as well. Just before I hand it over to Thomas, I know we have limited time, but we want to show you what the end result looks like. So typically when a customer implements asset management and Dynaway, they go for what is called Dynaway Analytics. It's a pre-packaged Power BI application where you get all of these dashboards that you see here on the screen. I won't cover all of them. I'll just cover a single one, with the reason being we often get questions about IoT connectivity. Can we integrate with sensors? And yes, we can. But there's a topic around reliability-centered maintenance, which we believe is a winner. So as soon as you start collecting information about faults, remedies, mean time between failures, and so forth, which you can do also from the mobile client, then you are actually empowered with great insights to your assets. So let me explain what it shows. So I have decided that I want to look at faults between these two dates. So I'm looking at approximately 2 years worth of data. I'm looking at all of my pumps, and I'm trying to get an overview about what could potentially happen over the next 30 days. In here, I see all of my pumps. I also do see what is the reliability. And of course, the lower the percentage is getting, the higher the risk of a failure will be. If I then drill down on this specific pump, which has a 52% reliability, then of course I want to see what is the typical fault, the typical symptoms, and I see it's typically throughput. Actually, 43 of my 49 faults were reported as throughput issues. Here, of course, I want to drill further into that information and see, okay, what are the reasons behind? And here I can see that the types were typically mechanic, a few of them also electrical. But here I can look through, and sorry for the demo data, but here, of course, I can go all the way to the fault ID. What was the remedy? What happened? What did we do? Where was it installed? What is the functional location? And how are faults reported over time? So if I have limited availability in my resources and I have to plan my maintenance activities during a peak season, of course, this will help me as a maintenance planner, a maintenance manager, to make the right decisions. Thomas, that was my very short introduction to this. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mikkel. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. My name is Thomas. As Mikkel said, I could easily talk 3 days about asset management and reliability. Today I have 20 minutes. So I have decided to focus a little bit on the maintenance strategies and the preventive life cycle that we can do within the embedded solution. And then I'll also show you how we can execute one of these work orders. Because for me, reliability, is all about the ability for my asset to perform within the function that we have defined without failing over time. That is a reliability. And our maintenance strategies, and that could be, I'll talk a little bit about preventive, predictive, condition-based. Well, that's all about improving the reliability of minimizing downtime and at the end, to extend the lifetime of our assets. So that's what reliability is for me. What I see with most of my customers, sorry here, I'll just go back to the presentation here, is that when we talk about maintenance strategies, when I come out to a customer, no matter what industry it is, I often see that the current state of the strategies is that to some extent, we do a lot of corrective maintenance. What should we call that strategy? We could call it run to failure. So that means that we wait for something to fail, and then we go out and we fix it. Of course, that's not the optimal strategy for preventing failures on my equipment. I often see, or I always see to some extent, also some preventive strategies. It could be on an Excel sheet, it could be within a system, it could be within a third-party system, but where maintenance are performed on a more regular schedule, no matter the condition of the machine or the usage. So that could be my 1 month forklift inspection that I'm going to do today. But I also see that a lot of my customers want to move more into a condition-based or preventive strategy, where we can use usage or other measurements and counters from our equipment as a part of our strategy. There's no reason to go out and do a monthly inspection on a forklift that hasn't been in use. All of these strategies are supported with asset management embedded into D365. I sometimes hear people complaining, saying that the system cannot support those strategies. I don't agree. Those strategies are fully supported within asset management. And of course, we are all waiting for maybe the next one. I don't know what to call it. Here I have called it AI-enhanced maintenance strategy. What will happen in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years from now? Are we going to see some co-pilot maintenance where we do not only react or predict based on the usage, but maybe we will even be able to follow up on a pattern of our corrective work together with the measurements so that we can have a more AI-enhanced strategy. That's not where we are right now, but before we can even get to that step, it's of course important that we capture all relevant information as a part of our maintenance system. If I should quickly cover the preventive life cycle, because I don't have time to show it all today. The first step in my preventive life cycle for my strategies is, of course, that I define my maintenance plans. They will all be defined in asset management. The maintenance plan, my blueprint, is a combination of the plan on when to do the stuff. I could call that my calendar. And the job plan of what to do on the work order. That is the combination. Then within the maintenance department, I want to update my maintenance schedule going forward. That could be 10 years ahead. It could be 2 years ahead. It could just be looking at next week. This is where I get an overview of the preventive work that we need to do. I can use that for my strategic planning, for my long-term strategic work, because I don't need a work order to see the consequence of my maintenance plans out into the future. At one point, I decide to create the work order. That could depend on the lead time of the spare parts that I need. It could depend on, are we doing any major shutdowns in near future? But this is when I turn my schedule into work orders. I can start to assign them to a group of people. I can start to do some long-term planning to see the capacity load in different periods on different trades. And then when I come closer, I'm ready to execute the work order. And of course, when I'm executing the work order, that is when I have chosen it is going to be Thomas that will do the work. He will go out to the forklift in my example. He will capture relevant information. So hopefully that my life cycle can be all the way around so that after a year, maybe I can go in and I can analyze saying, have this maintenance improved on my reliability? If not, maybe we need to change the maintenance plan. If I'm always spending 20% more labor on my work orders compared to the job plan that we have built, maybe I need to change the forecast. That is all supported by asset management. And today I'm going to cheat a little bit because I don't have time for all of these steps. So I'm going to jump directly into the long-term planning, short-term scheduling, and work order execution. And I'm going to do that showing you a day in a life for a mechanic or a technician. So let me stop my sharing and jump right in to the application. So let me just go out of this presentation here, and sorry for that change, jump directly into the dashboards. So, and now I got a battery low. I hope that it fixed, or else, Mikkel, you will have to stop me on my headset. This is Dynamics. This is embedded asset management directly into Dynamics. You can see I have asset management here as a menu. What I have done already today is that I have built my maintenance plan. So if I go to my preventive maintenance, I have built the plan already. Here I have built a preventive plan based on the calendar, where I'm going to do an annual inspection, a monthly inspection, and a weekly inspection of my forklifts. I have also defined the different job plans. So if I go to my job types, I can look at the different job plans I have for that job type. You can see all within D365. And if I'm looking at the monthly inspection that I'm going to do today, then I have put in a forecast. I have told the system it will take 2 hours to do the work. These are the spare parts that I need. And of course, you can follow up on the cost afterwards when we start to consume it. I'm inside Dynamics. When I consume my spare part, that will automatically be posted out of my stock value. But since this is the maintenance system, of course, I have also defined the checklist I need to perform. I have some checks I can do when the engine is off, when the engine is on. I could even add attachments that should be relevant for the work. All of those steps have helped me create my work order. So if I go in and I look at my work order, you can see that I now have a monthly forklift inspection created, work order number 926. And you can see that I have even scheduled it for the 1st of April for myself. I'm sitting in US, so I'm sorry, I have the US date and time set up. So that is April 1st, where I'm going to do that inspection. That is all within D365. That is the back end of my maintenance system. What I did just before the demo today was that I went to the planning and scheduling board from Dynaway, and then I did the drag and drop for next week, where I have now put a monthly forklift inspection on myself. I can look at availability. I can see that somebody has given me 24 hours a day that I can work on, but I'm going to do this at 8 a.m. On this planning board that Dynaway have built on top of Dynamics, and it works seamlessly with Dynamics. You don't need to, run an integration file that needs to be put on a folder somewhere. This works directly within D365. I can do the drag and drop of work that are ready to be executed. This one had multiple forecast lines. Maybe I want to schedule it to multiple people. And when I'm happy with whatever schedule I have done, I hit the save button, and then it will update all of these work orders within D365. When I did that for my monthly forklift inspection, then if I go into D365, you can see that it was scheduled for me, as I showed you before. So as a mechanic, as a maintenance technician, whatever my title is, I can now put my hard hat on, and then I can open up my mobile device. As Mikkel mentioned, the mobile device is a web app. So that means that I can open it up here in the full screen of my browser. That also means that I can run it on any kind of terminal or device that has an HTML5 browser. It's very flexible. For the demo today, I could emulate it on an iPad. I saw that Mikkel had it on a phone, so maybe we should open it up on a phone instead. The first thing I will do normally when I open up in the morning is that I will go to my calendar to see what am I doing this week. I wanted full focus on this one work order today. That's why I have only scheduled this one work order. But of course, I could have scheduled 20 work orders for Thomas for today. They will all be sorted based on the date, based on the start time. I can go in, I can add other workers if I want, all depending on the configuration that you do. Because this mobile client is fully configurable. Almost everything that you see and things that you can do on the client, you can configure. I've been working with maintenance within Dynamics for more than 20 years, and I don't see two customers that wants the mobile client to be exactly the same. So here, from my calendar, I can collapse my sidebar. I can see even more. I can then open up this inspection I'm going to do today. And of course, if I did not have a bigger device, I could try to emulate it on the phone that Mikkel showed in his presentation. So then it will just look like this. It will jump directly into the job that I'm doing. Normally, when you start a job, I could pick it from a list, schedule it for myself, put in the start time, add a timer to track the time that I'm spending. We have decided to put that all into one button. So now I can just hit start the work, and then it has now put my work into progress, and it has started a timer to help me capture the time that I'm spending. Of course, that is fully configurable. If you don't want a timer, you don't need a timer. From the job that I'm doing right now, I can see that this is a monthly forklift inspection. And of course, we are doing these inspections to prevent failure on our forklift, to ensure to extend the asset life of my forklift, and that it can run without any major issues. That's why I have decided to do a monthly inspection. I can jump to the asset if I want. On the asset, I can get all of the history on the asset. I can see where we put it. I could have an address if we want. I can see open work orders that we have already, notes, requests, manuals on the attachments. I have a tech guide I can open up. That's a PDF file if I want to open up on my device. All of that information will be available on my device, and it is even available offline. So that means that when work has been scheduled for me, all of that information is synchronized to my device. I know that you get better and better Wi-Fi coverage, but I still see the requirement at almost all of my customers for offline capability. Because if I'm walking into an area of the site where the Wi-Fi is poor, I don't want that to be the reason that I cannot do my inspection. I can also see historical counters based on the usage, maybe hours in use that I have captured over time. All of that is a part of the mobile client. But today I'm here to do the inspection. I only have 5 minutes left, so let's cover that inspection quickly. I can see I have a checklist here that I need to perform. Maybe also some notes. I can see that this is a monthly forklift inspection and I need to follow the checklist and report back to my supervisor. I can add my own notes in here if I want. And what I have seen lately is that the speech to text is getting better and better. When I hit the microphone on my keyboard on my phone, it does an excellent speech to text translation or conversion. And that's super good if I'm a mechanic and I have greasy fingers that I don't need to type on a smaller device. Sorry, I went one step to back here. So let's go into my checklist. Here I can see that for my preventive work, it has been defined that I can do some of the checks when the engine is not running and some of it when it is running. I could go into my checklist. Here I just need to check the exterior. I have done that. I can check the engine compartment, the fluid levels, the tire condition. On the tire condition, it is not enough that I just put in the check mark. I also need to put in based on a drop down. So here I could say that the tires looks good. I don't need to do anything. One of the things that we did with Daisy Brand, the customer that Mikkel mentioned, was that they are doing within food and beverage a lot of follow-up work. So if they chose, well, my tires needs a repair, then the system can automatically create follow-up work orders afterwards based on the inspection that I'm doing. I could also do an hour meter reading. So now I need to read the meter. What is it showing right now? It has been running for 2,499 hours or whatever, and I can save my checklist. I also had some checks when the engine was running. Are the brakes working? Yeah, they work fine. What about the front light? They work fine. What about the parking brakes on my forklift? Can it hold the vehicle on a slope? Let me test. Yeah, that also works fine. I have now completed all of my checks. When I do the last one here, you can set them up to be mandatory so that I'm not allowed to close the work order, complete the work order before I have done all of these checks. We can even validate that I should also put some labor on my work order. Of course, that could be a big step for the maintenance department to start to track that time. But if we don't ask them to track the time that they spend, well, how do we know what we spend our time and money against? I did a 2-hour inspection here in 5 minutes and 10 seconds, so I can now stop the timer. I have now tracked the time against my work order, and I can now complete my work. That was showing you the system, executing a work order that is based on a preventive strategy. Of course, from the mobile device, if I notice something is wrong, I don't have to wait a month for the next inspection. Directly from a job that I'm doing already, I could go up and I could create related work orders or create a new work order. When I create a new work order, I can put all information in. Let me just show you. I can even decide, should I schedule it for myself right away? Or am I a supervisor that can go out, notice the issue, and schedule it for somebody else? An important part of the follow-up work is also to do my item registrations. And you can do all of that from the mobile device. When I open up my mobile device, I know that this is my preventive work order. So for most of my preventive work orders, I might have a forecast already. Based on the site warehouse location, it can tell me if the quantity is available already. I can see here that somebody has forecasted my cabinet against the wrong site and warehouse, but I can click on it and then it will tell me if I have connection to Dynamics, of course, where do I go and find that spare part right now? I can put in a quantity of 1, and now I have done a registration. I could also have a list of approved spare parts. You can add pictures of those spare parts to your released products, and they will also be shown here on the client. And if it is not a part of the approved spare part list, the forecast of my work, of course, I can also go in and I can search, scan a QR code, scan a barcode for the part that I need. Here, maybe I need a speaker or whatever. So I type in speaker. It will show me the different speakers that I have. I can click on one of them and it will tell me that I have this quantity based on the site and warehouse. If it is available on multiple sites and warehouses, I can also choose that. Let me just see here. So you can see this one I actually had on 2 different sites. Then I can go to the other side and I can see the different warehouses, locations where I have it. That was my 20-minute demonstration. I know I cheated a little bit. I jumped to the end of my life cycle where I executed the work order. But having completed the work order now, then if I go back to my job, I can complete the work. I don't know if I'll get a validation. We can see here a validation error. And now I can go to my calendar and I can see if something else has been scheduled for me. I want to leave a little time, Mikkel, also for any questions, if there are any questions. I only have the big screen, so I cannot see if we have any questions today.
Chris, I'll hand it back to you. Are there any questions in the meantime? Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks very much for that, Mikkel and Thomas. As you can see, that goes so much in the solution that it's hard to give you a full overview. So hopefully that's been interesting, and you can see just the power of what you get, and once you get that in your hand. Guys, I think we're kind of on time now, and as you can see, there's so much to talk about in this area that I would encourage anybody who's got any further questions, wants to see more of the product or to discuss EAM in more detail, to contact us via the surveys you'll get after this. Do fill out the survey. Next time, the next one will be, the next session of these will be what's new and exciting in Wave 1. I think that is late April, and Wave 1 of supply chain management and finance, and that will be me delivering again. So please turn up for that one. It just remains for me to thank everyone for coming, and thanks for Dynaway coming along and presenting for us, and hopefully that was useful for everybody.